I've been in the on the other side of things where I was an employee of a place where I was responsible for like 39 active cases, and it was way above ethically what, this is like before they had board certification, and a consultant could come in and laser focus on a kid and do a way better job at picking apart what I did, but I was managing 38 active cases, which is not even ethical, I don't think, with the board now. But like in their defense, I kind of feel bad sometimes for the school district behavior analysts and the school district clinicians, because they're in a compromised position, and what's nice is it's kind of like easy for you to go in, laser focus on an individual, do a really thorough job, kill it and crush it with, you know, really excellent clinical analysis, and then find issues. On the other side, you're on the other end of it when you're the consultant for the district and the parent hires their own BCBA, right? And then they come in and pick apart what you did, which is really splitting hairs. That's really interesting.
Well, I think it's being prepared. I think it's, you know, it's knowing how to respond. There's enough to go through in these evaluations where it's just so many inaccuracies that they would go through. The attorney would ask direct examination. You know, the evaluator stated this. Please refer to document this, which states this. And then you kind of just go through and just tear them apart. I mean, you just kind of tear it up.
At the end of the day, I've been picked apart at everything I've written by another BCBA or BCBA or something like that. But then after I communicate with them and we communicate, at the end of the day, when you put the learner first and not the politics, and then the science in itself has an end result that wins. It's the science and the learner together, the science of behavior analysis. I've never had a disagreement at the end of the day with a BCBA, a good one, or actually any for that matter. Once we relate everything back to behavioral science because it's so lawful, I've never had a disagreement with them at the end of the day, because it wasn't about the politics of the district or who was paying. It was about the learner and the science and the fact that it's so lawful. After hashing it out and communicating with another BCBA, all of our differences were elucidated and pulled apart, and the function was this, or the intervention worked because the data showed it, or it was clearly just an indirect inference as opposed to causation, that it actually A caused B. Does that make sense? So it's kind of to ease your mind a little bit with all this. I don't want you to ever feel overwhelmed, because in the end you have people like Tony to go to coach you through this. So don't ever feel like intimidated. You guys can, you can all do this, and you can do it very well if you haven't already done it.
And the key is getting out in front of it. So now, like, as I've kind of have this new role, which I'm very excited about, like, so people are starting to reach out and say, hey, I have a couple cases that are going into litigation, that may be going to litigation or mediate. That's the time to have the conversation, because that's where you can start putting some things in place and mitigate. That's what we call it mitigate the liability, mitigate the exposure.
I love that.
Yeah, that's really, you know, that's the time to do it.